Hello and welcome to my Authentic Learning project. I believe one of the most important elements of teaching and learning is recognising diversity among students, and I am passionate about finding ways to make learning accessible to all regardless of circumstances or ability. I've created this project as part of an ICT unit to demonstrate how I would plan to teach maths inclusively using ICT as a cognitive tool. This project aligns many elements of inclusive practice with those of authentic learning to provide an engaging and effective learning experience. Authentic learning occurs when students actively and collaboratively engage in realistic, hands-on activities that consider prior experience to connect with new learning. These activities provide learning that is relevant, linking real-world situations in ways that are useful. Authentic learning is active, collaborative, rich in dialogue, and knowledge is constructed through exposure to concepts that have been applied in personally relevant ways. Using ICT is beneficial to students in many ways. Students love technology. Most students engage regularly with technology, making it relevant. It is fun, and when used effectively, it motivates students to engage deeper in learning. ICT provides visual supports, enhances creativity, encourages collaboration, and provides multiple perspectives. It promotes higher-order thinking skills as students share ideas and extend thinking to progress beyond their current level of understanding. It supports autonomy and is particularly helpful to help support students with additional learning needs, making learning more accessible to students that may otherwise struggle to learn. My project is designed for use with a Year 3 maths class teaching fractions. It aligns to curriculum and integrates across several learning areas. The project learning outcome finds students with a clear understanding of fraction concepts and language and the ability to apply key content knowledge in real-life contexts. They will understand that fractions are equal parts of a whole or a group and are useful in many ways. The students will create a final product and a whole class fantastic fractions display which will link the content to real-world understanding. The project will be carried out over 2 weeks for a period of 3 hours a week, and activities will include group and pair and whole class discussions and investigations, exposure to multiple representations, and using a variety of teaching strategies, including learning through movement and music to address the many intelligences that students possess. ICT to engage with, investigate, experiment with, and make sense of fractions. The project scaffolds content and concludes with students applying what they know in a final presentation piece. In the introductory lesson, the teacher will assess student prior knowledge as students engage with new content and maths language. They will participate in a group activity to discuss, discover and explain fractions at their current level of understanding. This lesson connects with authentic learning as students apply what they know about fractions and share with their peers. The dialogue-rich activity offers multiple sources of information, linking key maths terms to current understandings as students research and locate authentic examples of fractions within the classroom. The teacher acts as facilitator and uses student responses for diagnostic assessment of current knowledge and to highlight any misconceptions. Students are introduced to key concept through an engaging music video. This is done in a hip-hop style which uses popular culture as a hook to draw students in. The simple tool will support students to memorise key concepts and language related to fractions and also provides visual supports with pictorial and abstract representations. The smartboard is used to model extended ideas of real-world examples, assisting students to think of fractions in new and relevant ways. In the second lesson, students participate in a whole class smartboard activity, which requires students to make and share decisions using a fraction wall. This tool explores the concept of equivalent fractions, and students will then make their own fraction wall. This will be followed up with creating a wall display which will lay the foundations for the end product of the learning project. This lesson aligns with authentic learning as students revise maths language and concepts via the class word wall. They explore, discuss and collaborate using both virtual and concrete versions of fraction walls, and students are actively involved in learning as they construct their own model and they contribute ideas to the construction of the large display. This enables opportunities for reflection and aligns the learning outcome with assessment which is embedded in the activities. The ICT in this lesson provides rich visual support to all students, connecting pictorial and abstract representations with the language of fractions. Students can engage in decision making about equivalent fractions in a way that is both safe and engaging. During the third lesson, students will engage in an interactive whiteboard activity that further explores different representations of fractions. Students will then work with their partner experimenting with concrete manipulatives to construct different examples. This learning focuses on fractions as parts of a whole and parts of a group, and the activity supports learning as young students require lots of practice with hands-on tasks in order to fully understand the complexity of the content. It offers multiple ways of understanding using concrete, abstract and pictorial examples, and students engage in whole class activities and peer discussion as they share their understanding of equivalent fractions and collaboration on learning tasks. Content is modelled and scaffolded as understanding extends and grows, and the hands-on learning offers active engagement. The assessment is integrated into the learning activity and provides a clear picture of student progress. The ICT in this lesson supports active decision making and problem solving in a safe and engaging way whilst presenting a means for articulation and justification of decisions. It continues to support students visually, making connections between abstract and pictorial representations. The fourth lesson engages the students through music and movement as they think about and locate equivalent fractions in the paper plate fractions game. They will then use ICT to explore and experiment, going on to represent equal parts of a whole and parts of a group in their maths journals. Opportunities for reflection are offered and students can amend their choices as they use the fraction wall to support their understanding. The lesson allows students to work at their own pace and level as they receive ongoing feedback, and assessment is integrated into the ICT as it supports and provides access to high-order thinking as students progress through their levels. They can respond to feedback and reflect on and amend their decisions. The ICT supports learning through immediate and continuous feedback using multi-leveled activity. Students set their own pace for progression as the activity scaffolds the task, and the ICT offers visual support, which works in reducing cognitive load, which enables students to focus on using what they know and understand to make decisions, and this is particularly helpful for students that may have working memory deficits. In Lesson 5, students will create an independent piece of work to illustrate what they've learned so far in the unit. They will collaborate with peers as they research authentic examples of fractions using a variety of sources, including ICT, books, media, and of course prior knowledge and experience. They will create a poster to demonstrate their understanding, and they will use ICT to access information for inclusion, and if they wish to do so, to create their poster. This lesson incorporates the elements of authentic learning as students apply new understanding to real-life scenarios to show personally relevant ways of thinking about fractions. They will source information from multiple locations and will share learning as they collaborate on research. The product enables articulation of understanding, and assessment is embedded within the task itself to gauge if students can apply and represent what they've learned using correct terminology and accurate justifications. Students are supported with ICT as they use laptops to promote thinking about and locate alternate or extended examples of real-life scenarios or contexts. Students can experience increased levels of efficacy and confidence as a result of interacting with the manipulatives and visual supports to help them complete the task. The leveled technologies prompt thinking and allow scope for remediation or extension of maths concepts, and students will continue to learn from and with the technology throughout the activity as it empowers and supports students with lower language abilities to articulate with greater ease and clarity. In the final lesson, students will engage in an introduction activity, fraction dancing. This will support students that may be suffering with anxiety about presenting with a fun activity to set them at ease. Students will then present to the class either by themselves or, if they prefer, in pairs. They will model and explain their fraction poster, and peers will be encouraged to ask questions and give brief feedback. Following the presentations, the posters will be added to the fantastic fractions display in the classroom and later photographed and uploaded to the class website so that students can showcase their learning at home. The lesson draws together the content of the unit of work and connects authentic learning as students articulate both verbally and through their poster. A comprehensive range of perspectives and examples of fractions in real-life contexts combine to create an ongoing reference that will continue to support students in their learning. The assessment is entered into the task and is well aligned with the learning outcomes, as the presentations provide evidence of how well students have engaged with, understood, and are able to explain their maths understandings. The Authentic Learning project uses integration of content across learning areas to make learning more relevant. The inclusive design implements a broad variety of teaching and learning strategies which address learner diversity and reduce the need for additional or segregated support for lower level students, and all students are supported and able to progress at their level of understanding and ability. There are activities to implement multiple representations of the same content to ensure that connections were made, and they're rich in discussion using mathematical language. The inclusive design works to enable a sense of efficacy and belonging and promotes a culture of acceptance of differing abilities and perspectives. The project uses ICT, movement, concrete pictorial and abstract experiences to provide a fun, dynamic and engaging ways to support cognitive growth in a safe and supportive learning community.